Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this fireside chat in conversation with Netflix. My name is Tarryn Tomlinson, and I am delighted to be your host and moderator today. Now, whether they are young, famous, and African and bringing the drama, or whether they are the untold stories of African queens such as Njinga and Amina, Netflix original content has been taking the world by storm. And no one else and no one better to help us unpack the content strategy of Netflix across Africa. I have the pleasure of speaking today to Vice President of Content for Netflix Africa and the Middle East, Mr. Ben Amadasun. Please give me a round welcome, warm welcome of applause. Now, we have got an exciting conversation which is going to unpack Netflix's strategy, also how the global audience has really been receiving the content that has been coming from the African storytellers. And we're also going to look into some interesting facts. We're also going to look into how Netflix is actually investing into young storytellers. And then later on in the program, we'll also be showing you some very new releases and screenings that's going to be released from now in September right up to December, so don't run away. We're going to go all through that in a bit, but before we get to that, we'd like to show you a little video of some exciting things that Netflix has been doing on the African content. Can we please cue that video? Thank you.
My son!
We're all incredibly passionate about the local film and TV industry. We are passionate about creating content that is world class.
It feels like an out-of-body experience that I've been given the platform to express myself on something that's going to reach so many people.
A man once said it always seems impossible until it's done.
I think we've stepped it up a level in a big way, just in terms of production value and what we're seeing on screen, the level of detail in the image.
To know that my work is going to be on that screen, received by 190 plus countries in the world, that's amazing.
I guess congratulations are in order.
Yeah.
The reach is enormous. So many people are interested in the content.
Enjoy the show.
Take one.
We know that the talent is here.
Extraordinary talent, especially Black creatives.
I think it's about time that the world gets to see it.
We're ready.
The work is so good, the standard is so good. And I think the rest of the world is awakening to the fact that we have a lot of talent here in Africa. It's like, duh, like, we've been having talent. You guys just haven't seen.
It is time to talk about how it is that we share our value with the world. And for us to take ownership.
It's just going to open up viewpoints about what Africa really is.
Hey Siri, how do you get to South Africa?
South Africa is a life with possibilities.
Lots of possibilities.
As South Africans, local as lekker. Comedy scene is very big for us.
I like soapies.
We like our soapies.
Television.
We love singing and dancing.
Formula One.
TV is my life.
Movie nights in the comfort of your own home.
We communicate with every fiber of our being. We use our bodies, we use our minds.
This is about African excellence. We have the voice to represent who we are as powerful. To just artistically be the representation of South Africa itself. It's incredible.
Do you think you're gonna watch only 2 episodes? Wake up at episode number 10. This sound is hypnotic.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give another warm clap for Netflix and Mr. Ben Amadasun.
Thank you.
That is fantastic. Now, I am so eager to unpack the content strategy because as an African content creator, I want to know what it is that Netflix is actually looking for. But before I do that, I actually also just want to get to know who Ben Amadasun is. And you've been a veteran in the television industry. Where about are you from, Ben?
Me, originally from Nigeria, and spent a lot of my time growing up in the UK. And then I finally made my journey back to Africa, I think about 2014, to Tanzania, then to South Africa. So it's been amazing to be back in the continent or working with the continent over the last 10 years. So it's been brilliant.
Well, welcome back. We're glad that you came back.
Thank you.
So you are a content guy, right? You describe yourself as a television and a content guy. But
I love it. That's my passion.
That's your passion?
Yes.
But I'm sure that you've got some other passions as well. So if you weren't into the content business, okay, what completely different career would you see yourself in?
I like interior design. So, I might have been an interior designer. I love I love beautiful, luxurious houses. So I think if I wasn't doing this, I'll be, developing beautiful properties all around the world, especially here in Cape Town, because you guys have got some stunning, scenery here. So I would like to be designing one of them around the corner.
Interior design, or maybe even set designing, who knows? Cool. And if there's one show on Netflix that you a little bit embarrassed to admit that you binge watch on, what is that show?
Actually, not a Netflix show by itself. I don't know whether anyone's watched Jane the Virgin. So
that ship has sailed for you.
So as a content person, sometimes you don't like to admit that you watch telenovelas. So obviously, Jane the Virgin came from I think a Venezuelan novella, so absolutely loved it when I watched the first episode and I got hooked into it. So yeah, I'm one of those people that likes some good romance titles.
Here we have it, ladies. Are you married, Ben?
Oh yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. Well, good for his wife. So Ben, if you could make a cameo in any Netflix original film or series, which one would you choose and what would your role be?
Yes, so I don't know whether anyone has seen Supercell recently. So I love Supercell, and it's fantastic work from the UK team with Rapman on that show. So I think if I had a chance to come, maybe season 2. I think we made the announcement about season 2. So I think I like the character, Michael's character. So I think that's played by Tosin Cole. Because I like the ability to teleport into the future and then come back and change things right now. So it's a bit like what we do, in the industry, where we're kind of seeing the vision of the future and then doing things now to create, make it happen from a kind of a physical production or, making things, just happen because we've already envisioned it. So I would have loved to be one of the superheroes on Supercell. So that would be what I would do.
That's so funny that you should say that, because when people ask me that question, I would say that I also want to be Professor X from the X-Men.
Nice
not just because of the wheelchair people. Because he's also telepathic and he can read minds, and so I like that.
Nice one, thank you.
So cool. Now we're going to get into the part that everybody actually came here to listen to, and that is Netflix's content strategy. Now, when we look at the world, and we've seen that beautiful video, Netflix is taking the world by storm. And we also look at some of the content that is up. There's a lot of productions from South Africa, from Kenya, and from Nigeria. How does Netflix actually choose the films and the productions and the stories that you put on your platform?
Yeah, look, there are many criteria for choosing what we put on the platform. A lot of it, based on the big passion that we have for, telling, stories that are from different parts of the world. So we program from around the world from about 30 countries. And, we are really passionate about seeing kind of local stories, local lives, local languages, represented, in terms of the stories that we put on the platform. So that's a big passion for us. So that kind of local authenticity is critical to picking shows that we bring on the platform. So that's one of the key criteria.
And dramas or unscripted, which one do you kind of favor? Is it more like the dramas, or what is it?
I'm a scripted guy. I love scripted. But the non-scripted, as many people know in South Africa know, drives a lot of viewing, especially on some of our other platforms in the country. So yeah, so we're going heavily a bit more into non-fiction programming. You know, I don't know if some of you guys have seen titles like The Ultimatum South Africa, and I'll mention one a bit later that's coming up. So we're very excited about what we're doing on that kind of unscripted factual space, which is going to be a big thing for us over the next few years from a South Africa point of view. So yeah, so we look at many things. We always say we believe great stories can come from, you know, anywhere and be loved everywhere. And that's a big slogan from us. And we have a lot of people that are passionate, you know, in the industry. From our side, you know, a lot of us, we wanted, when I came to Netflix, and I mentioned this in some forums, when I came to Netflix, the first question when I was interviewed was, you know, we want to give you a chance to bring great local African stories to the world. And I always say, I was like, where do I sign? You know, it's not about the money. It's about giving this opportunity for, you know, fantastic storytellers from Africa to be able to get their stories, you know, to people within Africa and to people around the world. So that's where I think a lot of us in our team for Netflix, you know, are really passionate about what they do, and I hope you see it in the work that we've been doing over the last 4.5 years. We launched our first title at the beginning of 2020, so it's been only 4 years if you look at it that way. But I hope, you know, everyone, you know, acknowledges that we've tried our best to represent the country and the talent in this country on a really big international stage. So that's been the excitement for me.
The driving force. And
Yes.
then also, I mean, you know, just to touch on, like you said, you know, Africa is a big continent. There's
Yes.
lots of countries here. There's lots of cultures. There's lots of stories, and there's lots of languages.
Yep.
How does Netflix ensure that you really show that diversity, you know, of various different cultures, and how is that content produced and licensed as well?
Yeah, no, so we see diversity in so many layers, of course, you know, and one of our big values as a company is, you know, inclusion and diversity, something that we really, you know, believe in and practice, you know, not only in terms of what we do externally, but what we also do internally, you know, within the company. So, you know, in terms of our teams, they're diverse, you know, in terms of, you know, age, gender, race, you know, so even within our Creative Africa team, you know, we have people from Kenya, we have people from Nigeria, South Africa, of course, so we have people from all over Africa, and then in terms of the work we do across, in terms of kind of grow, capacity building, we've done work all over different parts of Africa as well. So yeah, we really believe in diversity, and then when it comes to production, physical production, we're behind the camera, in front of camera, again, we are making sure that there is diversity of people, races, you know, people with different cultural backgrounds represented in our stories, and then geographical locations. For example, in South Africa, you know, we were looking at where some of our stories are coming, you know, predominantly, and we were trying to ensure we have a diversity of stories that come from, you know, more from KZN, you know, from
so
the
it's not just all coming from Cape Town.
Yes, from the Eastern Cape, yeah. So we're trying to just continue, we are mindful of things because we want to represent the country and represent it well in terms of the storytelling. So that's so many layers of diversity that is important for us.
And then also, as you said, you know, you're working with content creators from all across, you know, Africa.
Yep.
Can you give us some positive examples or some really awesome examples of collaborations between Netflix and content creators?
Yeah, no. So I can see quite a few people here that we've been working with, so which is amazing. I can pick on you guys because you're in front here. So these are some of our Nigerian. Hamisha, you know, from Nigeria, you know, doing some really interesting movies for us and series. One called, you know, what's your title? Postcards recently, and then Namaste Wahala. We've got Editi Efyong, who did a Black Book, big film for us. From a South African point of view, we've worked with so many producers here. Very happy we've worked on, in terms of, you know, directors and producers. Bongi, I saw you earlier, so I can remember. I can see you. So we've worked with so many brilliant creators in this market. So the Ramakela, you know, siblings on the, you know, from Burnt Onions. We worked with Mandla Dube on, you know, Silverton Siege. Heart of the Hunter, for example, you know, I don't know whether the, you know, Tim and the guys, you know, from Scene 23. So there's been such a diversity of talent we've worked with within this market. You know, the Gambit guys, of course, you know, lots of great shows coming from them. Nimrod. I can see you, I'm just pretending. We've done work with Quizzical, Harriet, the team from Quizzical, the Oka media guys. We've worked on a licensing basis, and in terms of distribution, we work with different distribution partners. So we've made sure we're kind of hopefully a net contributor to the ecosystem of South Africa in terms of the diversity of people we work with. And I'm here also trying to meet people we haven't worked with. We know there are lots of great talents in the market, and we haven't always had the opportunity to meet with them. So we had a breakfast this morning, and I met new producers. I was like, who are these guys? I haven't met them before. So I met some very, lovely people today, and then some great ideas. Somebody showed me a clip of a series which, I was so excited about. It had a bit of a wow factor, so I was very impressed by that. So yeah, there's that opportunity to meet new talent and continue to work with them going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you said, you're here also to source what's new, to source what's fresh, to source, all of the new and happening stuff, right? Yeah. So, of course, when you're working across a continent that's so diverse, that must come with its whole own set of challenges, like for Netflix as a platform. What have some of those challenges been, and how have you guys mitigated those challenges?
Yeah, look, we've had all kinds of various challenges. I would say challenges to do with what markets we work with and we prioritize, of course. And so we have this issue in many of our territories in Africa where it's still hard for people to have the access to broadband. So it's difficult for some of them to be able to stream regularly and at a cost that makes sense for people. So that has meant it's kind of helped ensure that we haven't grown as quickly as we would want in some certain countries. Where it has, we've been able to have a bit of a more impact in South Africa, for example. Nigeria, we're seeing a bit of growth, quite good growth there. Kenya, to some extent. But so yeah, we've had more challenges around kind of the infrastructure-related issues. And then when it comes to talent, we have great talent in many of the markets we work with, of course. We work in. But we have certain standards within Netflix that we've hopefully been able to introduce to this market. We have great people internally that has been coming to do master classes and trying to find initiatives with partners in this country to actually upskill some of the talent that we're already working with. So capacity building has been very important for us.
And we're going to touch on capacity building in a while as well, because I think that is so important. I'm not sure who was here yesterday for Steve Harvey's conversation, but he was speaking about the importance of international companies coming here and working with locals, not just bringing in foreign, staff, but actually to work with locals and to ensure that we are, skills developing and pushing local artists. So when we look globally, I know that you have got a great idea. You'll be able to tell us some numbers. But when we look at, the global audience and the fact that African content has been so well received, do you want to give us some particular stories or genres that have really taken well with the global audience?
Yeah, so at Netflix, we have this amazing opportunity to have a lot of data. So I remember before I joined Netflix, I worked in the linear free TV business across Africa. And one of the biggest challenges that we didn't have any data virtually. We're almost sometimes scheduling blind. This is outside South Africa. South Africa, we have good data here. But in other countries, we were struggling with data. So coming to Netflix and seeing, you can see what generally people are watching and what they like, the trends, etc. So yeah, so as a result of that, we've been programming for those kind of the taste of the audience, what people are looking for to see on our service. There's always that Netflix factor, like that people they want to see similar stories that they can get everywhere else, where they want an additional layer of what I call the wow factor. What's the wow factor the shows that come on Netflix? So that's the kind of the most important things I'm looking for when it comes to titles that I'm picking up. So
titles such as Blood and Water, I know, has got international acclaim, right? Something like 14 million views or something like that. Right?
Yeah. So the first season of Blood and Water got about 14 million. We've got stories that have come from other parts of Africa. For example, we had Blood Sisters, a title called Blood Sisters, which was a Nigerian title that had about 11 million views in the first week those are quite big numbers when you look at it. If you look at another title called Fatal Seduction that we had, that was top 10 in about 78 countries in the world. A huge amounts of viewing. So we're seeing big impact of our storytelling. We are seeing in terms of the original interest when people come and click to watch African stories. We're seeing over the last 4.5 years, we've seen big amounts of people coming to watch, titles. We talked about some big films, Black Book again, one of the big titles that came from Nigeria, and that basically reached a huge audience. Again, I think over 50 countries as well. It was top 10. Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. And I mean, when you look at that, I can obviously see how how this content is influencing the worldview of Africa and Africans, right? Which has for so long been so distorted. And now we can tell our own stories. I had a friend in Italy who wrote me the other day, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I started watching this, some African content on Netflix, and I absolutely love it because when I lived there, people still ask me if we had shops here in South Africa and where I bought my dresses. So there is a big need for people to get a true understanding of what happens on the African continent, right? But how do you see Netflix's presence in Africa and how it influences the film industry? And I'm talking about from the perspective of the creatives, not how it influences the perception out there, but how is it actually influencing our film and television industries?
Yeah, look, I think we've, I hope, and some of the producers here will tell me otherwise. I hope we're doing a good job with getting, raising standards in terms of, production values, especially in some of the markets. We're seeing production value has gone much stronger. Looking at, what we do around physical production of titles, VFX related work. So we've been trying to work with the market to just improve the standards around that, music rights, sound engineering. So we've been working to make sure that those standards are comparable with what we see in some of our other big markets around the world. So I think from that point of view, guiding the creatives and storytellers to what we know translates very well to a kind of a big audience, within in our country here in South Africa and abroad is some of the things I think we've helped. We get a lot of, when we give notes, we get lots of nice pushback, which is great, and we want to work, we are working with the creative, the talent and their vision really. So it's not our show. We're almost like the coaches, from a creative point of view, guiding the talent to what we think will hopefully reach, get a lot more people within the audiences to enjoy their stories, to reach a bigger and wider audience, yeah.
And I mean, one of the positive examples is One Piece. Do you want to? I know that we've got a video here about One Piece. Do you maybe want to be able to show us a clip of that video? Because I think that is...
So for me, so everyone talks about the show, films and series that we do for the countries, like from the countries, from producers within the country. But then sometimes people don't realize we do a lot of other type of inbound productions. So things that are coming from our US business, from our UK business, parts of the title called The Crown, that was shot here. Kissing Booth was one title where, it was shot in South Africa. And most recently, One Piece. So One Piece was shot here. I think there was a glimpse of it in the video. That was over $50 million, 900 million rand kind of investment. So those budgets are beyond my Africa budgets, but they're US budgets, and they've come into this market. They've created jobs. That production itself, I think, has created over 1,000 jobs, and just the effect on the economy by having these big productions come in here, it's really important. So I just want to show you a bit when we announced season 2 of One Piece. We were pushing hard to make sure it comes back to Cape Town. So yeah, let's play that.
Hey Siri, how do you get to South Africa?
Getting directions to the Grand Line.
Here we go again.
Cape Town, the family season 2.
Man. Wow. 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 Tears of joy. Tears of joy. To the grand line!
One Piece.
Yes.
Awesome. I mean, that is an awesome example of something that's shot here, and I mean that's a huge budget.
Yes,
right.
very much so.
Yeah, that is a huge budget, and I love the fact that of that more than 1,000 jobs that are being created here, 27% of that were females.
Yes, brilliant.
Which is good, exactly. So when you talk about, I mean, there's a lot of talk about hyper-localized content, right? And people want to see hyper-localized content. But how does Netflix, I suppose, find that balance between hyper-localized content, but also making sure that that content lands with international audience? What is that fine balance, and what should one look to in how to create that?
Yeah, it's a very good question for us, and one that we speak to a lot of producers about all the time, because I think when we started, in the African continent, there was a lot of producers coming to us wanting to make some of their best shows, of course, and creators wanted to make that, tell us their best stories, but there was always that thing about, we want to tap into this big, 270 million odd members, and we want to reach them. So we want to tell stories that are kind of skewed towards reaching, the global audience. So, and what we've been doing as a team is to say, guys, really tell your most authentic local stories. And that's really we don't want people to think about, I want to tell a story for the US or for UK or wherever. We want them to focus on what works in this market. And what we have found over the many years of many titles that we've released on the service is that the more locally authentic it is and relevant, the higher chance that it's going to succeed overseas. Because for many reasons, but one of them is that people just want to see new stories from places they've never seen before and different perspectives that they've never seen before. So we always advise some of our creators, writers, directors to make sure that their stories are really locally authentic and is believable within this environment. And when you do that right, and you get it right, plus the wow factor, we need a wow factor always, then you start to get stories that sometimes travel beyond. So again, everyone talked about Squid Game in terms of, Squid Game was made for Korea. It was made for Korean audience, not for anybody else, and it was so well loved in Korea that it now started to travel. When people heard about it, watched it, they loved it, and it just went all over the world. So that wasn't the intention to make it for anybody else other than people from South Korea.
And yet, I suppose also if you look at certain stories will always unite humanity, right? Regardless of where the story is being told. Yes, there's just things that we can all relate to and resonate with.
So it's just on that point. So this year, I don't know what some of you guys have noticed, a lot of our releases this year, there's a bit of a slant towards love. So we've had a lot of romantic comedies, light, fun, entertainment, and that's, we say, Africans love love. So we've been trying to serve a lot more fantastic doses of great love-related, romantic.
And how to ruin love.
Yes, and how to ruin love as well. But it's always a good ending at the end. So we're trying to just make sure that we look at things that are really entertaining and fun and engaging for our members. Yeah.
Awesome. Now look into some talent development, right? How is Netflix investing in the development of emerging talent from the continent?
Yeah, look, it's we've approached this with so many different levels. We have a creative equity fund which has been investing over 100 million from a few years back for 5 years, over $100 million across different parts of the world for Netflix, including Africa. And it was there to do a lot of almost create a kind of equitable ways to help people from disadvantaged communities or race or from with different sexual orientation, where they don't necessarily get those opportunities. So we've been, investing in some of, initiatives to support those voices in many markets. So that's been a big one for us. And part of that, one of the things we did recently for Africa was the UNESCO, folktales, reimagined, and that was part of that kind of creative equity kind of contribution towards that. So that was exciting because there were new voices that came through that, and I'm hoping. And I just heard from a producer yesterday that one of the talents that was on that UNESCO has just shot a really fantastic series, which I saw a clip of. So we're seeing them coming through to other productions that are we're considering for Netflix. So that's a positive aspect of it. Then
it's like $100 million
Oh, no.
that the fund
oh yeah, the fund itself.
aims. The fund itself. Yeah.
The fund itself, yeah. But so that's been very valuable. We've got another initiative called Grow Creative, who've been doing, actually, I am so passionate about the work they've been doing. They've been working, with companies like the Realness Institute, University of Southern California. We've worked with all of these different local institutions to kind of see how we can develop talent that are already in the market, from kind of script development, to novel adaptations. So we've worked on a plethora of different activities to support the industry. We've also worked with universities, invested in BITS, some of the programs. We've invested in scholarships for students that are, in institutions like AFDA. So yeah, there's been a lot of work we've been doing, which I'm very proud of, and there's more to come from that area.
I love that fact. More to come. So, what are Netflix's plans for expanding its content library in Africa? What is the strategy? What is the actual plans?
So yeah, we're here for the long haul. Yeah? So what we've been trying to do is that we've been trying to create a sustainable business in Africa, and I think we've been largely successful in doing that, and we're very, very proud of that work. Which means we can invest a lot more. So by creating that sustainable, business, we feel that there's a lot more opportunities to continue to increase that investment in South Africa and across different parts of Africa. And we want more stories to be told, and I think we're still just scratching the surface in terms of what you've seen, we've been doing. I think there's a lot more amazing stories. All I just want to make sure is that they have the wow. They have the wow factor. That's what I'm looking for in terms of stories. So
we
very
like
excited
wow
about that. But lots of great stories coming through.
Yeah, and some of those great stories are the upcoming features that you are here to tell us about today. So I think we should get into that before we get into some questions and answers that I'm sure that many people are very eager to ask you.
Yes, thank you.
Let's go through the first clip.
Okay, so yeah, I'm so excited about some of the titles that's coming through the last quarter of 24 and going into 25, and we have such a delightful mix of titles coming through. So excited about that. So I'm going to start the first one, and this has been announced. It's a really, really strong title called Blood Legacy. So yeah, let's play. Just play? Next, okay. Yeah, so this is coming from our big partners in Gambit, who've done, of course, Blood and Water, Unseen. So they're launching another, I think, really fantastic drama for us. I'm so excited about this, and I hope it really, connects with the audiences in South Africa. But yeah, shouldn't talk too much. Let's just play it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. And thank you for joining us in celebrating 25 years of Spear.
Don't talk about where right now.
Ubaba called me.
Ngifuna ukukhuculula Spear. Ngifuna ukuthi ubuye ekhaya. Uzobamba indawo mntanami. Uhole inkampani.
Ubaba ufuna uqeda corruption. He's offered me CEO.
Iqiniso lento. Ubuzongitshela nini?
Baba wangicisha mina mangifunisela ukuthi ngiphathele lesi sikhundla. Waye ngobukhanyisile.
Le nkampani le ingaba yakho. Umsebenzi wakho ke ukuthi umhehe. Mina ngizoyenza lokho kunye.
They are going to corrupt you.
Phela wena ngeke ukwazi ukuhola le nkampani wedwa nje.
Do you believe I can do this?
Ungayenza le.
Banekele CEO entsha ithwasi ukuthi sobani.
She's clean as a whistle.
I mean, I have to look harder. I have been banging out fish.
With you, everything is going to change.
Nobody in this country gets rich without getting their hands dirty.
Ujwayele ukusho impilo zabantu wena manje. Kodwa manje uzowuthola umvuzo.
Umhlambi wezindlovu uholwa indlovukazi umagagabazi.
And wona umndeni obumbene nina la. You are just a nest of scorpions.
You're going to pay for everything you've done. And that is a promise.
There's nothing like a family drama to keep us on the edge of our seats.
Nice. So I'm excited about that. I told you I like novellas in the beginning, so so there's a bit of a novella element and a succession battle there, which I really, really enjoy, and I hope the audiences enjoy it as well. Yes, I talked about love. We're still continuing the theme. We love love. So everyone who knows happiness was a four-letter word, happiness forever after. So we're continuing. So it's one of my favorites, book adaptations, or initially, and now coming back to the audience in South Africa. I'm just going to do a quick BTS about this title.
Happiness is about Princess Mokoena turning 40.
Lovely. Right. Look at you. Happy birthday, darling. Oh, thanks, Mum.
He feels like there are a lot of gaps in her life that she didn't anticipate.
Milestone birthdays are a funny thing. We kind of see a little bit more of Princess's family life. A wonderful daughter and a supportive co-parent. Are you wearing lipstick?
Working with such an incredible cast, I was fangirling every day.
I don't even know. Maybe it was a secret.
Since when do I get left?
It's been absolutely great to work with everybody on sets.
Give me a big smile.
And action.
Do the waves again.
Yeah, she's made you a situationship.
Hi, Zach.
It's giving extra. Catch Happiness, streaming only on Netflix.
Some happiness.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Just to give you a glimpse, but the trailer will be out soon on that one. So looking forward to that. Thanks, Bungie and team. Well done. For the first time, we are working with Stained Glass, a company called Stained Glass on... sorry, it just changed a bit. All right, no worries. Sorry, this is not Stained Glass, so let's go back. So yeah, so apart from Loving Love, South Africa, we think Love reality series, I think. So we've got a new show called Love Never Lies that is launching towards the end of this year. About this title itself, and it's about the reality with lots of couples, 6 couples going into a home, and they're kind of rewarded deception. You're punished, but if you say the truth, you might get a really good price. So that's coming up, and I think it's going to be really, really fun.
And encourage us to tell the truth.
Huh? Yes, to tell the truth. That's the most important thing. Yeah, so Love Never Lies, coming to you soon. Okay, so yes, from Stained Glass, Umjolo, which is a 4-part anthology, again based on love story around 4 female leads and their lives and relationships. And it's going to be, we're going to release one by one. So the first one will come towards the end of this year. And we don't have enough to show you yet, but I just want to give you a bit of initial visuals just to get a sense of it. But we're really excited about this title, and we think it's really going to connect. Stained Glass, as you guys know, have made some incredible stories here in South Africa, and it's the first collaboration with them. So first off, hopefully we're doing more going forward. Yeah, Burnt Onion. Yeah, we've had so many great successes with Burnt Onion. They really understand the dramedy, family kind of dynamic comedy, space. So we've got another title called.
It's my favorite one at the moment.
Which one?
Lobola Man.
I got pitched Lobola Man, I think 4 years ago. We finally got it on service, and it's done incredibly well. So Congrats again to the Burnt Onion team. They've made some, How to Ruin franchise, How to Ruin Love now. We've done, what do you call it? What's the other titles we've done from Miseducation? We've done so many titles with them, and there's more coming.
Seriously Single?
Oh, my favorite, Seriously Single. Anyway, so I better not say anything about that, but I hope he comes back soon. So Disaster Holiday is going to be following a main character who's a workaholic who decides to take his family on a kind of a long journey to make them feel like he's contributing to the family, but obviously it becomes a disaster. So maybe it reminds you a bit of the Home Alone type idea, but let's see how that comes through. So very excited about that. But we also have great family entertainment coming through towards the Christmas season. I know time is going, but so there's some great big animation for families. One is Spellbound, and then That Christmas. So we're really stepping up the family kind of entertainment titles on Netflix, and these are some of the big international tentpole titles that are coming towards this quarter. And last but not least, drum roll. Nice one. So Squid Game, it's been almost 2 years since this amazing series launched, and now it's coming back. I'm so sure many of you have seen the teaser for it, but just wanted to play it again. So roll it. Very excited about this one.
Perfectly in time for the Christmas binge. I can see myself there on Boxing Day already. Yeah, eating all the leftovers from the day before, watching Squid Game.
No, brilliant.
This has been absolutely fantastic. Ben, thank you so much for coming to share not only the strategy and how it is that Netflix is actually influencing Africa, but then also coming to give us some amazing new releases. I would like to now open up the floor for questions that you might have for Ben. Wait, I first saw that man over there. We'll do those three gentlemen over there and one in front. Yes, sir. If we can just pass the mic to the gentleman with the grey jacket.
Hello?
Sorry,
Can you
just
hear
hold
me?
on.
Everybody obviously knows what Amazon did with Africa.
Sorry, can you just speak a bit more into the mic, please? We're struggling to hear.
Everybody obviously knows what Amazon did a few months ago with Africa and the promises that they made, and you said Netflix is here to stay. I'm wondering, maybe a question that a lot of people, producers here, are wondering about, as Netflix is rolling out, what's your overall budget looking for Africa? Are you increasing it? Is it staying the same? Or are you going to stop putting money into Africa like Amazon?
Budget. Yeah, he wants to know what was the budget for Africa. Is it a set budget? Is the budget going to increase?
Oh yeah, look, our budget has been increasing year on year, very categorically the last few years, and it is going to continue to increase as we do more bigger and better productions. So we are, like I mentioned earlier on, we are here for the long haul. We believe in the market. We're seeing great success. The stories are working here. They're translating to broader audience around the world. So we're excited to be in this market. There is so many stories we haven't told here yet, and we want to be part of that. We are on a different trajectory. Our budgets are changing all the time, and it depends on, of course, the genre and the particular programming. But I feel it's been improving more and more in terms of what we've been investing, and we are making sure that we contribute. What is a big and fair amount where particular time.
Thank you so much. The gentleman with the black jacket, yes? No, did you? Yeah.
Hi. Morning, Ben. Thank you for your interview. I have a question in terms of, does Netflix, I know you're representing for the African content, but how interested is Netflix in the Caribbean, particularly Jamaica? Like we have a Jamaica delegation here, and we're very interested in doing work with Netflix, and we want to know if you guys are interested in the Caribbean.
Look, yeah, it's a different team. Usually, hello, yeah, US and UCAN team that deals with that side of it. But from an Africa perspective, what we see on the data is showing lots of viewing in Jamaica, across the whole Caribbean of African stories. Really impressed about how that's working there and the discussions that come after we launch some of our titles on socials, etc. We're really happy about that. But we are not directly working with Caribbean by itself. But then there might be stories that come through that have a link. There might be co-productions, there might be ideas that come through where there's a link between what is happening in the Caribbean and stories from Africa. And if there's a kind of a natural, organic storyline there that makes sense for us to look at, we would look at them. Yeah.
Good afternoon, Ben.
Yes, afternoon.
I'm from Botswana.
Hello.
Yeah. I missed your presentation in Botswana last time, so I'm going to ask the same question. Last week we had a meeting of creatives between our president and over 3,000 creatives. And what was coming up was one question. Why is Netflix not opening up to other African countries as opposed to Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa? Because we are starting to realize on social media that there's also some unique content that's coming from the rest of Africa as opposed to the three big brothers. So I think if you can just clarify that. And also, people in Botswana want you to come and address the young people there. So maybe you can talk after this.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, look, we've got to look at also the sustainability of a business. And if you go into certain markets, they're just by nature, economic environment, etc. They're more conducive to growing the business there. So we've been working in these three markets because there's that opportunity for bigger, growth. But also the established industries in these markets are, also sizable. So there's many reasons why these three markets have been, where we've been starting off the kind of Africa journey. So there's that dream one day that we're able to go into other markets and program for them as things get easier to do business there in terms of, data. People that have more broadband are able to stream, our content. So there's that determination that one day we'll go into more markets. But we've got to look at the moment where our priorities are, which are these countries at the moment, and program from there. But having said that, we've acquired titles that have come from different, countries. I'll give you a good one, which is a title from Zambia we had last year, I think it was called Candesios. I don't know if anyone saw that film. Yeah, so that film really had big impact. Not only in Africa, it was loved in Africa, it was also loved outside Africa, as in people loved that title. They were really engaged with it all through. So yeah, we do look at specific opportunities for titles that are just, stories that are just brilliant, and then they might come from any other part of, Africa. And we've bought titles from Tanzania. I saw one of my Tanzanian producers around, so we've bought things from all over these markets as well, and we continue to do so where it makes sense.
Yeah, so it's a lot of, obviously, also, like you say, infrastructure.
Yes.
Yesterday as well, we had the Secretary General from the Botswanan government and speaking about their plans to go and build film studios as from next year, where they can actually bring in that infrastructure to start really supporting the local creative industry. In Botswana. So I'm sure that we'll be seeing many more shows and content coming from Botswana. Yes?
Can I add? Also, just to add to that, is that sometimes we might not be making a story specific to Botswana, but as you say, if you have the right kind of environment for us to come and shoot, shows there, we'll come there and produce within there if the story makes sense to do so. And we've had different stories where there's been a storyline that goes to other parts of Africa, or we've had talent from other parts of Africa from some of our non-fiction shows. And so there's many other ways of still representing the broader African kind of population through titles that are maybe anchored in Nigeria, South Africa, in the key markets. Yeah.
Thank you so much. A gentleman at the back, thanks.
All right. Hi. I'm being rushed, Ben, so I'm going to try to be very quickly.
Yes.
So post-production, you spoke about diversity, right? And in everything. I work in the post-production space. There is a lack of diversity there, a lot of it. You get what I'm saying? So I would like to just challenge Netflix to take that very seriously as well. You know, you diversify in your writing rooms, you diversify on set, but when you get to post-production, a lot of these productions, there's no diversity. You know, I'm a young post-production person, editor, entrepreneur. I want to develop other editors, black, young, women, LGBTI, people with nuance, Africans. But there's not enough diversity in post-production. So I would just like to challenge Netflix to take that as their challenge next. You know, upskill master classes there in post-production, please. Thank you.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, look, we've been working on so many different post-production related training, but I see your point about, just make sure that, you know, in terms of the diversity of who's maybe getting the training maybe, and you know, who's benefiting from that in terms of companies. Look, that's part of being connected to the ecosystem here. You know, the more we come, the more we interact with everybody, we pick up on some of these kind of issues that you just mentioned, and then we go back as a team, we discuss with some of the leaders that are in those areas, and then we work on how do we ensure that there's that kind of diversity in terms of who we're working with going forward. So those are always, we're very mindful of those things in terms of being part of the ecosystem and how we operate. Yeah.
And so true, as you said, this is the awesome thing about having a conversation, because it's not just us listening to Netflix, it's also Netflix listening to what the people want, and then taking that back and instilling those changes. Thank you. We will take one more. Do we have one? No more questions. No more time. I'm so sorry. Okay, if you can make it like super quick. Super.
Oh, okay. You want?
I'm Ben Amadasun. I'm also part of the Jamaican delegation.
Yeah.
My colleague just mentioned as well earlier. So I have this film called Jamaican Mafia, right? And it's a combination of Jamaicans versus Nigerian, you know, like different fighting for territory. And it has wow factor, and we want to do a part 2 of that film. How do we talk to Netflix to find out if they'll be interested in partnering with us?
Okay. Look, it's something we have a process that we go. It has what?
That's a wow factor.
A wow factor.
Yeah,
Look,
absolutely.
it's just something that we normally, direct through the members of our team. We have a development team, so when ideas come through that are linked to some of our key markets, like you mentioned Nigeria, so that made it a bit more something that we want into. So yeah. Okay, so something just come and get my deals, and I'll pass you on to people in my team that can look at some of that. Yeah. All right.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, please can we get a thunderous round of applause for Ben Amadasun and the Netflix crew. Thank you so much. You've been an awesome audience.